Oil and police officials said the rockets landed near a site connected with foreign oil firms and state-run companies in Iraq's southern city of Basra early Monday without causing damage or casualties. Officials said the rockets, which police said were 3 Katyusha and were launched at about 3 a.m. local time, hit the Bougiza residential and operations headquarters west of Basra. Japan will declare a state of emergency as early as Tuesday in a bid to stop the coronavirus, media reported, with the government preparing a stimulus package to soften the blow on an economy already struggling to avoid a recession. More than 3,500 people have tested positive for the coronavirus in Japan and 85 have died. Not a huge outbreak compared with some hotspots, but the numbers keep rising with particular alarm over the spread in Tokyo, which has more than 1,000 cases. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was likely to announce his plan for the emergency later on Monday, the Yomiuri newspaper reported, while Kyodo News Agency said new measures would likely come into force on Wednesday. Johns Hopkins University said Sunday Americans praised for what the nation's top doctor warned Sunday would be the hardest and saddest week of their lives, as 1,200 more people have died due to coronavirus in the U.S. in the past day. The Baltimore-based university, which has been keeping a running tally of global COVID-19 numbers, said there are at least 337,637 confirmed infections in the U.S., including with 9,647 fatalities. Amid the dire news, there were also glimmers of hope. Some hard-hit areas, the number of people dying appeared to be slowing in New York City, Spain, and Italy. The news was cautiously welcomed by leaders, who also noted that any gains could easily be reversed if people did not continue to adhere to strict lockdowns. Italy reported its lowest daily COVID-19 death toll for more than 2 weeks on Sunday, as authorities began to look ahead to a second phase of the battle against the coronavirus once the lockdown imposed almost a month ago is eventually eased. The toll from the world's deadliest outbreak reached 15,887, almost a quarter of the global death total, but the rise of 525 from a day earlier was the smallest daily increase since March 19th, while the number of patients in badly stretched intensive care units fell for a second day running. The total number of confirmed cases of the coronavirus rose by 4,316 to 128,948, the lowest increase in 5 days, which added to signs the epidemic has reached a plateau about 6 weeks after it broke out in northern Italy on February 21st. Haiti reported on Monday its first coronavirus death, a 55-year-old man who had underlying health conditions. The health ministry said the man suffered from diabetes and hypertension. He was one of only 21 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 virus in Haiti, a demographically young country where over half those diagnosed with the disease have been under age 45. Only 218 tests for the new coronavirus have been carried out in Haiti since the first 2 cases were confirmed March 19th, however, leading to criticism from the national medical community of the government's handling of the pandemic. A cruise ship that has accounted for a quarter of all COVID-19 deaths in Australia was allowed to dock near Sydney on Monday after 200 crew members began exhibiting coronavirus symptoms. The Ruby Princess berthed at Port Kembla, some 80 kilometers south of Sydney, after weeks stranded at sea to allow doctors to assess sick crew members and take most serious cases ashore for medical treatment. The government last month allowed 2,700 passengers to walk off the Carnival Australia-owned vessel and return to their homes around the country, despite a ban on cruise ships docking in Australia being announced just days earlier. According to officials, one person died when a fire tore through workers' tents at the construction site of a new hospital for coronavirus patients outside Moscow. The cause of the blaze was not immediately known, but it reportedly broke out in a tent containing a stove. An emergencies ministry spokesman said the fire, which covered 90 square meters, broke out in workers' accommodation at the site, and 3 tents caught fire, killing one worker. The ministry spokesman declined to give other details. A deadly Pacific cyclone intensified as it hit Vanuatu on Monday, threatening a natural disaster that experts fear will undermine the impoverished Pacific nation's battle to remain coronavirus-free. Vanuatu's meteorology service said Tropical Cyclone Harold, which claimed 27 lives when it swept through the Solomon Islands last week, strengthened to a scale topping Category 5 superstorm overnight. The cyclone is now packing winds of up to 235 km per hour, prompting red alerts across several provinces. Oil prices skidded on Monday after Saudi-Russian negotiations to cut output were delayed, keeping oversupply concerns alive, while stocks jumped as investors were encouraged by a slowdown in coronavirus-related deaths and new cases. In currency markets, sterling fell 0.4% early in Asia after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was admitted to hospital following persistent coronavirus symptoms 10 days after testing positive for the virus. Brent crude fell as much as $4 after the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Russia postponed their meeting initially scheduled for Monday to next Thursday, even as the virus pandemic pummels demand. Lebanese banks are to apply an exchange rate of £2,600 per dollar for withdrawals from small accounts of up to 5 million Lebanese pounds, a central bank source said Monday in the implementation of a new circular issued Friday. Lebanon is still applying an official bid of £1,507.7 to the dollar for bank transactions and critical imports, the governor said Friday. But the circular issued Friday said deposits of $3,000 or less could be withdrawn in Lebanese pounds at a market rate, allowing small depositors to cash out despite tight banking controls. It also allowed for the paying out of deposits of 5 million Lebanese pounds or less. The Premier League club has told its employees Manchester City will not seek to use the government job retention scheme and roll off staff during the shutdown caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Several clubs, including Premier League leaders Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, have drawn fire for taking advantage of the government scheme, which pays 80% of the wages of staff furloughed for the companies due to the global health crisis. City, owned by Sheikh Mansour's Abu Dhabi United Group, are the first Premier League club to state that they will not be going down that route. Employees were sent emails this weekend reassuring them that their jobs would be protected. An American who survived World War II and the Spanish flu pandemic is now the world's oldest coronavirus survivor after a miraculous recovery. Mr. Bill Lapskies, who is 104 years old, displayed symptoms associated with the virus on March 5th and was quickly put into isolation at the Edward C. Lowth Veterans Home in Lebanon, Oregon, where he resides. Mr. Lapskies was one of the first 2 residents at the home to test positive for the virus. The other victim, a man in his 90s, has since died. A tiger at New York's Bronx Zoo has tested positive for COVID-19, the institution said Monday, and is believed to have contracted the virus from a caretaker who was symptomatic at the time. The Wildlife Conservation Society that runs the city's zoos said in a statement the 4-year-old Malayan tiger named Nadia, along with her sister Azul, 2 Amur tigers, and 3 African lions, all developed dry coughs and are expected to fully recover. The statement continued, though they have experienced some decrease in appetite, the cats at the Bronx Zoo are otherwise doing well under veterinary care and are bright, alert, and interactive with their keepers.